Hola, bona tarda a tots una altra vegada. En primer lloc, m'agradaria molt donar les gràcies a les escoles de la meva ciutat, a la seva complicitat. Avui ens acompanyen, em sembla que són 60 mestres d'escoles bressol i de primer cicle d'educació infantil de l'escola ja reglamentària, per dir-ho d'alguna manera. Per tant, moltes gràcies a totes vosaltres per la vostra complicitat del festival. Sense vosaltres aquest festival no podria existir. La voluntat de portar els nens, pujar-los en un autocar, portar-los fins a la sala, que puguin entrar al teatre i gaudir-ne, sense vosaltres això no seria possible. Per tant, moltes i moltes gràcies. Una vegada dit això, us presentarem la taula d'avui. Bé, ahir vam parlar més potser de moviment i d'espectacles en general. Avui ens concentrarem en el món de la música, en el món del so, però en l'especificitat dels més petits de tots. Creiem que són 3 propostes, 3 països diferents que treballen en aquest àmbit pels més menudets al món de la música. I tenim per una banda el Paulo Lameiro, que ja és un amic del festival perquè no sé quants anys fa que ve i que el tenim entre nosaltres, i amb ell també hem crescut, que ve de Portugal. Tenim a la Ingrid, a l'Isabel i a la Jo, que també no és la primera vegada que participen en aquest festival, per tant, molt benvingudes i moltes gràcies. Elles venen de Bèlgica. I tenim a la Siri i a la no ho sabré dir perquè hem estat ensajant totes dues i no hi ha manera que sàpiga dir el seu nom. Kirsten. I ella us ho dirà millor quan es presenti directament. Elles venen de Noruega, ens porten l'espectacle Lula, i també han sigut tant la Siri com ella i el Paulo els que han fet aquest matí el treball amb els mestres perquè puguin aplicar aquests coneixements de l'art a les escoles. Per tant, una vegada més, moltes gràcies a totes i a tots, perquè sé que també hi ha, que és raro, però hi ha nois mestres, cosa que també està molt bé, benvinguts. Bé, crec que no hi ha res més a dir. Ells us explicaran cada un el seu projecte. Són projectes, jo crec que molt diferents, i aquesta és la riquesa, no? De que cadascú des de la seva honestedat i el seu rigor doncs, té la seva proposta i la seva manera d'apropar-se als infants. Per tant, passaré primer la paraula a Noruega perquè us expliquin el projecte i després ja anirem seguint. Esperem que sigueu rigorosos en el temps perquè sou molts a intervenir i després també ens agradaria fer una mica de debat. Per tant, us donaré 15 minuts i quan en faltin 2 us aviso que el temps s'acaba. Moltes gràcies.
Okay, I couldn't understand that, but I think I'm going to start. So, thank you for being a part of the festival and a part of this panel discussion. I will give a short introduction about project called Lula. Before I do that, I should introduce my collaborator, Kirsten Halle. She is my researcher, associate professor in the University of Stavanger, and she's working with childhood education. And my name is Siri Dybwik. I'm the artistic director of Dybwik Dance, and I'm creating all my performances, and I'm a professor in contemporary dance at the same university as Kirsten. I think we maybe jump right into a short film, a 1-minute show of Lula, because many of you haven't seen the performance, and we will talk shortly about it after. Our main question in all my work is which competencies are at play when the Dybwik Dance meet the youngest audience. What do the performer need to know? What kind of competencies do you have to make the performative setting meaningful for the child. So Kirsten and me together, we do our research both as academic research and artistic research, and in Norway they are equal. So I research these productions through the art, through the performing setting, and Kirsten with more academic methodology like observation, analysis, and together we try to, not to conclude, but to try to raise new questions about what is the importance, what is the meaning of this kind of art practice. But back to Lulla. Lulla is a commissioned work by Dansens Hus in Oslo, the National House of Dance for Contemporary Dance, and Saskia, who is leading the project, is here. It's a beautiful research project going over 3 years, where they have let 3 choreographers have the possibility to go in depth in this artistic practice. And when I applied Dansens Hus, it was not very fancy, because I wanted to do a project about lullabies. I was interested in the lullabies in itself, the praxis of singing with the child, but most of all I was interested in the situation that are around the singing of lullaby. I'm sure that many of you are parents, and what is it with this situation? And I hope, if I have managed anything, I can say what I wanted. I wanted to create a piece that is empathic, that where togetherness is important. So this is not a show where you show off your performative skills. It's a way to understand the dome as a collective way of being embodied together. And as I said before, what is the competencies that are in play? And for me, the competencies is to be supportive to the child. That the artistic setting is about lifting up the situation for the child in Lulla and make it meaningful. And of course, the research around this is difficult, because we don't talk about children who can talk to us. So it is of course through observation and analysis that we try to find out what is meaningful. Dansens Hus initiated this 3 years research project, and it's not the first project in Norway. In 1998 we had this first 3 years project, and after that the Art Council in Norway have been given millions for art for the very young. And they are of importance, and they are also in sync with the way we understand children and childhood. And that is not the same in all parts of the world. How we understand what is a child and what is childhood. And when I meet the children, I try to, you can never remember how it was to was a child, you cannot pretend to be a child, but we try as much as we can in the artistic practice to out of a view on the childhood that is today, try to make this meaningful. The lullabies is it's a phenomenon in all cultures, but we know from research that we sing less with our children. Not only lullabies, we sing less in total with a live voice. We maybe play music, and that's also important, but it is something special with a live voice. It is a way when you sing this lullaby, it's a way you can tune you into another person. The lullaby has many different kinds of, what is the word? Yeah, aims. Of course it is to support, to tell your child that you feel love, but if you look back, lullabies was also a place where the grown-up, the parents could express worries. So some of the lullabies around in the world are quite dark. They are also about death and really terrible things. that is not what we have been lifting into our project. We have been concerned about Norwegian traditional lullabies. When it comes to the music in the setting you saw, many of my productions are indoors. I like the intimate space, and it's not very economically good for festivals because I don't want to have a lot of children in my space at a time. I want to take care of each children. And then we are with this question, what is the competencies that are at play in this kind of space? And we can't talk about all our research, but I can very shortly say that and it's not, maybe it's not the same for other productions, but for us it is about the knowledge of improvisation. The way you as a performer can tune in on what's happening there and to go into this interactive setting. So, and of course this situation is very different yesterday when we had nurseries with very few adults, and today when we have one adult and one child coming in. It's very different. And to meet those different settings, you as I see it, it is this knowledge of improvisation that is maybe the most important. What is it with singing? What is happening when we sing together? We had this workshop now with the teacher, and something is happening when you open your mouth and you sing together. And what is that, Kirsten?
Well, we were very lucky to meet 45, I think, teachers, 50 nursery teachers today. Do you can hear me?
Yeah.
No.
No.
So we met 50. There we are, 50 nursery teachers today. Because, well, we make these beautiful art pieces and children come and visit, and it's of very significance for the children, of course, and for the adults as well. But I am very interested in how can it be relevant for the people working with the children every day, the nursery teachers. How can they translate this experience to be of significance and importance in their practice with the children? So we were lucky to be together because well, I'm a trained musician myself, and I teach music in the preschool education, and we all know it's about the communication of art, you know? We create something special together, and we communicate the most important things, love, care, affection, or feelings, and our states of mind. Well, through these artistic languages, we can be together in so many ways. And when we sing, this is one way of including everybody in one activity. So we tried today in 2 hours we didn't have to try, because when you start singing and feel the same beat, the same rhythm, we just synchronize. The bodies just synchronize in a second. So we were sharing some wonderful time together as adults, and we know, everyone in this room earlier today then, that this is what we need to do together with the small children, because these kinds of activities, these musical activities, the language of arts can be of very importance, connecting people in their everyday life as well. So I'm very concerned about translation, these beautiful experiences that happens occasionally, to be important experiences for those working close to the children.
Going a little bit back to Lola, we just have a few minutes left. these kind of festivals that are all over the world now for the very young wouldn't have existed if it hadn't been for that. The way we look at children and childhood has moved a lot, if we say the last 50 years. And also what we know today that we maybe didn't know 50 or 60 years ago is that the child is not born carte blanche. They are born with a lot of preferences, and some of the preferences are music, the way a child, also before they are born or when they are full born, the way they can recognize tonality, rhythm pulse, they can recognize music that, for example, they have been exposed to when in pregnancy. So to sum it up, it is not a political project that I do, but I would say if someone goes home and start to sing lullabies, I have done my work. Because I think it's maybe especially today, and I think that is what theater and art, the importance of those places is the togetherness. The way you have to leave all this, I can talk about mobile phones, and we know it's a problem now in hospitals when women give birth, that they are on the cell phone while they are feeding the child. So this project, I hope I send a signal to what we find important. I can just say a few things about research. We don't research this in a quantitative methodology. It's of course a quality study where we observe these children and we try to understand and try to raise new questions that can bring our practices but also the field further. Thank you.
Sé que dona per molt el treball que esteu fent i el temps és limitat, que és una pena, no? Perquè podríem estar aquí molt i molt. Passo la paraula a Astrid, la companyia que fa aquest procés d'investigació. Ells no estan parlant d'un espectacle concret, sinó de què passa amb els nens quan encara són dins la panxa de la mare, no? Per tant, elles encara estan en aquest procés d'investigació i ens explicaran el procés que estan fent, el punt on estan i cap on volen anar.
Hello, good afternoon. I also didn't understand our introduction, but alright, we're gonna introduce ourselves again in English. We are 3 girls from Belgium. I'm Astrid. I studied the classical violin, and for over 6 years now, I'm also playing with a theater group, Theater de Spiegel. Some of you might have seen a performance of them this morning. Theater de Spiegel, and it's a theater that only makes theater for the little ones, so for kids from 0 till 4 years old.
Hello everyone, I'm Zoe Bossuyt. I also work for Theater de Spiegel. I do some techniques and some production work, and besides that I'm a folk violinist. And during my studies of theater techniques, I did some research about acoustics and how different acoustics can change a room, but also the perspective of a performance, and how when you change the acoustics, you can change the way you feel in a performance. And there, my fascination for sound was born, actually.
Hello, my name is Isabel. I work for the radio, in fact, for the Belgian National Classical Radio. And sometimes I make radio documentaries, so I'm used to making stories with sound. And next to that, I also write theater plays for children. Not the really small ones, a bit bigger. That's what I do.
And together we are here to introduce to you our project Here, which is a sound project for babies, like specifically sound.
Yeah, because sound is really important and underestimated. This is an article published by the World Health Organization in October. I don't know, it was in the news in Belgium. I don't know if it was in the news here, but they did a research, and it turned out that noise and sound is one of the top hazards, environmental hazards to both physical and mental health and well-being in the European region. And in Belgium, the reaction was really surprised. People are not aware of the fact that we are constantly surrounded by sound, and it has a huge impact on us, not only on our ears, but on the whole of our bodies, because it's air that vibrates and it touches the whole of our bodies.
Yes. 6 years ago, myself, became painfully aware of that. I was working for an orchestra, and during a rehearsal there was an accident with sound in which my ears got damaged. And because of this, I heard all sound in the world heightened. So every sound was loud for me. And I really had to reprogram my hearing and my brain to hear sounds. Because for instance, if a glass of sparkling water was standing on the table, I could hear the bubbles pop from over 6 meters away. And it was loud, and it was painful for me. All sounds in the world were loud. And so I had to reprogram my brain into thinking, okay, this is a sound that is loud and everybody hears it loud, and other sounds are not loud at all. It's just your brain tricking you into thinking so. So I became painfully aware that everywhere in the world there is sound. I mean, image, you can still close your eyes and the image will be gone. You have doors on your eyes. But you don't have doors on your ears. If you want to close them, it's never soundproof. So it's always there. And I had to relearn, this is loud, this is silent, this is sound that is important to me, and this is sound that is in the background. And meanwhile, I was working for Theater de Spiegel with the little ones, and I noticed that all the things I was relearning and rehabilitating to, the kids were doing too. Especially the really, really small ones, they were also learning it. For instance, there's sound you want to hear, mostly your doorbell at home, you like to hear that. But the hissing sound of a heating system or something, it's a sound that is not important to us. So mostly we don't hear it anymore. But the kids still, if the hissing sound comes on from the heating, they turn to it. And I was too, because my hearing was I had this accident and I was also hearing it. So my attention would go flipping around from one to another all the time. And I think this was really noticeable for the kids, even when there was a lot of visuals going on and there would start music somewhere totally different, they would turn their heads and look at the sound. So that was their first input.
Yeah, we know that little babies are really into sound. Their eyes are not Their eyes are not fully developed yet, so they really orientate themselves by sound. They can hear where their mom or their dad is, they can hear how big your room is, they can hear when something's happening, they do it all by their ears. And the eyes, the visual aspects come later to that.
Yes, so Zoe and me working for the small ones at the Spiegel, we were let's make a project only about the sound. Not focused on the visual thing, but really focusing on sound for babies. Okay, we were there, but sound, that's very wide subject. So we were still brainstorming and looking around, and then we met Isabel.
Yeah. And when I met Astrid and Zoe, I just became mother for the second time, and when my children were born, at the moment when they were born, this is one of the first pictures taken of my son 4.5 years ago. When he was born, he was really disorientated and scared and crying and all that. You might recognize it. Just until the moment that my boyfriend and I started talking. And then we could see in his eyes that he recognized our voices. And it really struck me and touched me, because I got aware that he had a whole awareness before he was born. And he got to know us better than we got to know him at the time that he was born. Working with sound every day as a radio maker, I thought I should really do something with that. And then I met Astrid and Zoe, and they were planning on doing something for the little ones. And I thought it would be great to do something about those sounds for an audience that is mixed, little ones and adults, because the little ones know those sounds better than adults do. And they can be the guide, you can be guided by the little ones who are closer to these experiences before birth. So.
Yes, so we brainstormed a lot about that, and then we came up with the idea to, because we were working for Theater de Spiegel already, I was working a lot in this kind of installation that is called Kaban. You see it here on the screen? A picture from it, and it's all different modules or different installations that are very tactile and very visual, and the kids can like crawl in or under or over and can really like play in it, and then they work with musicians in it. So we thought, what if we try to make installations or modules that are based on sound, so not on the visual or tactile thing, but that really come from this sound idea. What do we need to know for that? And for that, we went to a lot of researchers, to a lot of professors and stuff. So we interviewed and talked with them and have email conversations with them.
Yeah. There's a huge amount of information to be found on the internet about it, because there's been a lot of scientific research on everything that happens before we are born. But this is Professor Bart Vink, and we contacted him after we read a newspaper article. It was in the summer, and he was warning pregnant moms to not go to music festivals, because you can protect a child with earmuffs from the loud sounds, but you can't protect an unborn baby. And he saw in his practice that more and more often babies are born with hearing loss because of that, because moms are not aware. And we thought, well, that's someone
we want to contact. This is in fact because like the womb and all the amniotic fluid and stuff, he found out through his research that it only dampens sound with like more or less 5 decibels. So you can imagine if you're on a festival and the festival is going over 100 decibels and it only dampens with 5, they're still like listening to this sound that is harmful for the ears, and also the ear is just becoming to develop, so it's still very fragile.
He also told us that our ear and the whole instrument is fully developed at 14 weeks, but the connection with the brain is fully made at 24 weeks of pregnancy. So almost half of the pregnancy, the unborn baby can hear quite more or less everything surrounding the mom.
Yeah, there's a little difference between low sounds in that and high sounds. The low sounds come in more direct, so they are given through better than the high sounds. This is because of the mechanism that they will also recognize their dad's voice, so the low sounds coming better, and you will say, and the mom's voice. Well, the mom's voice comes in differently because it comes from inside where the baby is, and it comes through bone conduction. We will explain more about that later.
We are halfway. I'll keep it. Yeah. This is Professor Jan Seibers. He's a professor of physics at the University of Antwerp. And he told us a lot about how sound works, what sound does in different environments, different materials. We want to do a lot with water. He told us what's the importance of the temperature of the water, for example. So it's mostly that.
And then there is Martine van Puijelde, who is a psychologist at the University of Brussels. And she has a study that measures, in which she measured that born babies, so up until they're 3 months old, they still have a connection with their mom in the breathing and the heartbeat. So the heartbeat and the breathing of mom and the kid before it's 3 months old always goes together. And there's a theory about this, like just a theory because they don't know how to research it yet, but like that this is because the human child is born too early, which means when we were still walking around on 4 feet, on 4 legs, we carried our babies longer, and since we went standing up, like the babies come out earlier, but the connection is not immediately broken. So we keep on having these connections for 3 months longer after we are born.
That made us think about the importance of memory, the memories we have from everything we experienced before we are born. And then we found this professor. He's a Professor Henk-Jan Honing at the University of Amsterdam. He teaches music cognition. And he did tests with newborn babies. He let them hear a beat, like doof, doof, doof. And at a certain point, he took away 1 beat. And yet their brains scanned. And the human babies, they responded immediately. You saw like this in the scan. They did the same tests on monkeys in Mexico, and they didn't react. So it's really specific for the humans that they have a sense of musicality when they are born. And we were thinking, has it something to do with the fact that with everything we hear before we are born, and the fact that we have a memory of that, and might it be the reason why human beings make music and are so attracted to music and emotionally involved with music?
Yes. We talked with a lot of more professors, but we're keeping to the basics here.
And of course, we didn't only talk to professors, but we also researched some other artists to see what they were doing around these subjects that we were looking into. And we found also Laurie Anderson, and she made an installation in the 70s, which is called Handphone Table, and it works through bone conduction. So as you can see the installation on the picture, you have to put your elbows on the table, and then you close your ears by your hands, and then you can hear through bone conduction what she will play through the table. So you cannot hear it through the air, but only through your bones. And that's really fascinating.
Yeah. To give you an idea of what bone conduction is and does, so we gave you spoons. On some of the chairs there were spoons. Some of them they have a little rope around them, and the others don't. So what you should do is, if you have one with a rope, you put it around your fingers and you turn like that, and the spoon has to be more or less in the middle, hanging there. Yeah, and then you put your fingers. You close your eyes with your fingers. Your ears, sorry. So, and then your neighbor with the other spoon has to give a little ting, not too loud, against the spoon. And then you can switch. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So you can hear there's a big difference between what you hear through the air and what you hear in your head when you're holding your fingers against your ears.
This to very shortly explain to you what bone conduction is. Like, you hear very differently through vibration to your skeleton than through vibration to the air. We did this small experiment just to make it clear that it's not the same kind of hearing. So you hear much richer sound if it comes directly through your bone. Also when you're in the belly. That's why you hear the voice of the mom through that. So out of all this research, we kind of think it is important because most researchers are researching one small fragment, very specific thing that they are researching. But we want to make in our project like one artistic story again. So out of all this research, it's the basis to start from to make an artistic project. And I'm just like there's 5 kinds of layers of sounds that we want to explore or work around. This is one, the heartbeat, because the kids hear the heartbeat of the mom, maybe also from themselves, but we don't know because we don't hear our own heartbeats anymore. So we don't know this process of filtering that out when that starts. It's something that is never researched before. Or not that we could find. Somebody knows somebody, you can always tell us. Then you have the hissing sounds of the fluids running through the veins and like the blood running, like you hear the swishing and hissing and white noise kind of sounds. Then you have the watery sounds of the amniotic fluid. And then you have the voice of the mom coming in through bone conduction. And then there's all the sound coming from outside that is only dampened by 5 decibels. So all the other voices, they're deformed, they come in deformed though, but the loudness is still there. And all the surrounding sounds that we hear all the time. And of course, can you imagine, you have all of that, and then you get born. And you come into silence. Yeah. Or is it? Is it silent in here? Not really. You come into a totally different sound environment. And like Isabel said, the first thing you can recognize, luckily, is the voices from your parents. And there is something to grab onto, something to hold on to. So that is really, really important.
So we took all these elements as a basis to make to do experiments and to make the beginning of modules. And we took those first ideas to different daycare centers. We're going to show you 2 examples. The first was 2 years ago, so it's really very one of our first times we could try things out. It was in Bologna, and you can see that we're in a space with children, and we built a sound path. It's
we will show you.
We'll show you in a minute, and. It's made out of cushions, and every cushion makes another sound. They're not very well attached to the floor, you can see. But if the children walk over it, they with every step they hear another sound. That was the idea.
Another thing we tested was about a heartbeat, and we made a cushion, a belly-shaped cushion, where we put the sound of a heartbeat in it, but also that you could feel the heartbeat. So if you touch the cushion with a body part, you could feel it going up and down like a real heartbeat. And we noticed that if you play a heartbeat in any room, and the heartbeat is calm, so slow enough, that everybody in the room will go like, not only the kids, definitely also the kids, but also we, also the caretakers. Although the caretakers told us in the beginning, like of that moment, like it's a very intense sound. The kids are gonna be scared. Was not at all the case. Oof. They really calmed down to it, and once they got to the mountain and touched it, they were really stuck to it, because we even toned down the heartbeat sound in the room. We only let it hear in the cushion. But so there were kids that were stuck to the cushion from the beginning of the session till the end, and they didn't want to get off of it anymore. And even when we finally stopped the session and turned the thing off, that's the moment they started crying. So we really thought this was this is a very comforting thing for them.
And we also tried some things with the voice, because the voice is a really important thing in their lives. And we tried it not only to have the normal voice directly, but also to deform the voice. And therefore we used thunder tubes to make like a sort of special reverb on our voice and to deform it in different ways.
We will show you the end of that session in Bologna last year. So the blue thing in the back is the mountain with the heartbeat, as you can see. And then there's one more example we want to show you where we worked about names and voices. And we recorded with a small device like this. We recorded the kids' names, but when the caretakers were saying them. So a voice they already knew was saying their name. And then we just dropped all these devices in a room and let them see what happened. And we'll show you a video of that.
It was in Brussels, earlier this year. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So there he found his own name.
Then it didn't stop anymore. And we also tried something with live singing, and then the same song we recorded earlier, and we had a speaker hidden in a cushion, so we could play the recording of the same song from the cushion. And now we have the recording coming from the cushion behind the little boy in the middle. He's really looking at us. Why are you not singing?
And then this is a boy that didn't like to come to the nursery home or to the kindergarten. He, like, for the full 5 times we were there, we were not working with him, he was crying. Like, so he, for some reason he didn't like it. And that's the first time in this 5 times he stopped.
That was it. You can ask questions later on, but we are very thankful to be here and to have this chance, this opportunity to present our project to you all. Thank you very much.
No passa res. Era molt interessant i després segur que hi ha 1000 preguntes que sortiran. Li passo la paraula al Paulo. Paulo, un poco... Mira. Palabra passada i després ja entrarem en el debat i així podreu fer les preguntes i les disculpes que vulgueu.
Babia, babia, babu.
Babia, babia, babu.
Brrr, baba, psst.
Brrr, baba, psst.
Baba, ba, ba.
Baba, ba, ba.
You listen my voice. Escucha mi voz, bien.
Sí.
Qué bien. Muchas gracias. I will speak in English in the beginning, and then I will change to Spanish, okay? So we share the moment together. But because we are speaking about sound, we are losing our ability to speak without microphones. And you know why I don't want to speak with loudspeakers? Because of our subject here. We are talking about babies and sound. And you know, our brain, the number of synapses in our brain when we speak with a microphone are just 1 in 5 information. When I speak with my voice, your brains are processed 5 more information. Why? Because even if we have the best technology, it's not only an acoustic problem. We communicate with words, but not particularly with words. We communicate with sounds. And sound with ease are poor. You know, your body positions now are quite different. Because you don't listen my voice in two places. A brain of a baby knows exactly if I speak with this, that it's not possible. I'm here and my voices are there. And all our brains want the truth, authenticity. If we don't speak with direct communication, our babies and all of us will lose the biggest part of communication process. It's because of this that we also lose our ability to feel sound. We are losing this. Why? Because of all that system. Thank you, Eulalia. Muchas gracias por invitación. Well, thank you. I'm in love with Lula. Thank you, all of you. I learn a lot anytime I came to this festival. And I will talk to you simple things. Well, first of all, I'm a musicologist. I'm not a researcher. I'm not an artist. I'm a musicologist. And we may speak about art, music, and education. I'm a director of a music school. In this music school, we also have babies class. About Dalila question of yesterday, why art in our lives? Why art in education? Why art in stage? Why art in our daily lives? That's the point. Why? But in the morning I talk a little about this. I have a second job, my second world. I work with old people, dying people, with Parkinson, Alzheimer, or simple people. And why? We work music with babies and with old people with the same system, same language. Because with babies, you notice a lot of sounds here disturbing us. Our brain are disturbed about all these lower frequencies. I close my parenthesis. With babies, we learn to learn. With old people, we learn what is important to learn. And because of this, we work a lot with old people to know what is important to learn. Third, I work a lot with health and music. In hospitals, in the school, in the conservatory, and in life. Some music therapeutic projects with sound. Some projects with people with mental problems. Chronic pain department in the hospital. Pediatric service in the hospital. We work also doing music for dying babies of days or hours of life. When the mother are informed by the medical team that your baby couldn't survive. You decided the time to turn off the machine. And the mama called the musicians to be there at that moment. Well, this is another part. Last 10 years, I don't work with babies, with old people, and in the hospital. I don't work directly. My teams work. Directly, in the last 10 years, I improve a lot of projects in community, gypsies, refugees, and particularly in the prison. And in the prison, with inmates, I don't work with street, hip-hop, African beat. We work Mozart's operas, Don Giovanni, Così fan tutte. Why? Because babies teach us how important are the sound and the organized sound in our lives. About this, you may see movies, documentaries in internet. I will share with you the site. Now, I will talk a little about one project, Concerts for Babies, Sound and Babies. And you need to turn because I will speak in Spanish now. I will speak in Spanish. Todo lo que ha pasado en el universo de la música en los bebés ha empezado con este libro. Este libro, Mozart Effect, ha tenido una importancia extraordinaria. ¿Por qué? Los cientistas de que habíamos hablado ahora, estos cientistas nos han dicho, imaginen que la música, especialmente la clásica, especialmente Mozart, transforma a los bebés más inteligentes. Increíble. Entonces, vamos a hacer música con bebés para se quedar más inteligentes. Que no. ¿Por qué hacemos música para bebés? Conciertos para bebés porque voy a compartir preguntas. La primera pregunta de todo mi trabajo. Hacer conciertos para bebés es para preparar a los bebés a más tarde poder disfrutar de la música. Hacer arte para niños es para los preparar a más tarde disfrutar. Vamos a hacer festivales infantiles para formar públicos. ¿Qué es esto, formar públicos? No lo sé. Para mí, un bebé es un público hoy, aquí y ahora. Como todos nosotros. No hay públicos de 45 años, 67. No, todos somos públicos. Uno de los mayores problemas que encuentro en los proyectos artísticos para niños es cuando todo se prepara para enseñar a los niños a más tarde. Se entiende a los niños no como alguien totalmente ahí. Esto es un problema para mí. Segundo, cuando hacemos conciertos, nos preguntamos, ¿cuál es la mejor música para los bebés? ¿Qué vamos a hacer para los bebés? Estoy hablando 0-18 meses. ¿Cuál es la mejor música? La música que el bebé necesita, que la madre le gusta, que el director artístico quiere, que el autarca político vaya a pagar, cuál que el periodista le gusta, especialmente cuál que el artista ama. Son muchas cosas. ¿Qué tipo de música? Habíamos hecho mucha investigación a 25 años atrás. Voy a dar un ejemplo de esta investigación. Perdón, estás siempre. 2 bebés de 3 meses que van a escuchar un concertista al vivo tocando clarinete. En el inicio, los grandes músicos no querían hacer conciertos para bebés, porque un gran músico toca en una gran sala de conciertos para público de pelo blanco, erudito, especialista. Yo, gran concertista de la orquesta del Concertgebouw, no voy a tocar para bebés. Mira, Paulo, toca con los alumnos que tienes. Tengo un alumno muy bueno que toca muy bien. Y yo le dije así, Alberto, el nombre de profesor, lo digo. Alberto, vienes conmigo. Tú, que eres un gran instrumentista, y tu mejor alumno. Vas a tocar los dos para estos dos bebés. Y vamos a ver si los bebés distinguen un gran concertista, un gran músico, de un alumno también bueno. Vamos a ver cómo lo habíamos hecho. ¿Qué respuestas da un bebé de 3 meses? ¿Qué nos dice un bebé? Primero, un bebé tiene respiración. Y cuando un bebé escucha algo especial, como nosotros, bloqueamos la respiración. Han bloqueado la respiración. ¿Por qué? Porque los seres humanos necesitan de se proteger. Y un bebé, cuando escucha algo, bloquea la respiración. Pero después vuelve a respirar. Vamos a ver cuánto tiempo este bebé se queda sin respirar. Porque si se queda mucho más tiempo, quiere decir que está viviendo más intensamente ese momento. Segundo, vamos a ver cuándo vuelve a respirar. Se comprende la estructura musical. Por ejemplo, tenemos una música que tiene 4 compasos, más 4 compasos, más 8, 16, 32. Lo bebé empieza escuchando, para. ¿Cuándo vuelve a respirar? Este quiere decir que el bebé no está comprendiendo la estructura. Si un bebé respira con la estructura, quiere decir que está comprendiendo más intensamente lo que pasa. Lo bebé está. Cuando escucha algo, para, bloquea, y después. Otra vez. ¿Cuándo para? ¿Cuándo retoma? Habíamos registrado todo cronómetro. ¿Cuántos segundos? ¿Qué pasa? Abertura de ojos. Abertura de ojos, muy importante. Un bebé está con los ojos normales. ¿Ofrecemos algo? Un bebé no. Todos nosotros. Si algo de nuevo viene, abrimos los ojos. ¿Cuánto abrimos? Vamos a observar con los bebés. Y muy especialmente, placer. ¿Qué pasa con un bebé cuando tiene placer? Lo mismo que nosotros, que tenemos cuidado. ¿Qué pasa con los bebés? Empieza baba. Cae la baba de placer. Entonces, volvemos al ejemplo. Alberto, profesor, concertista, profesor de la Universidad Superior. Su alumno, Nuno, alumno. Entonces, bebés de 3 meses distinguen calidad. Están más tiempo concentrados, tienen más placer, tienen ojos más abiertos. ¿Por qué? ¿Cómo puede un bebé percibir esto? Un bebé percibe calidad. Sí, todos nosotros percibimos calidad. Porque cuando tenemos un gran intérprete, un gran artista, nos ofrece mucho más información. Yes, it's true. A baby recognizes the difference between a great professional and a student. A baby of 3 months recognizes that. It's incredible, but recognize that. So, first of all, to babies, we need to have the best musicians, the best artists. Vuelvo a hablar en castellano, solo para animar esto. Para decir que cuando vamos a hacer conciertos para bebés, vamos a servicios educativos, servicios pedagógicos. ¿Qué es esto? Servicios educativos. Es un malo señal cuando la arte para niños está en servicios educativos. Quiere decir que los cachés de los músicos son más bajos, los números de artistas mucho menor, la calidad del espacio muy distinto, porque para educativo va los artistas de segunda línea, para niños los artistas que no llegan ahí, para los grandes de pelo que tienen dinero vamos a los grandes artistas. Esto es un problema muy grave. No paramos aquí. Continuamos con dudas, con muchos problemas. Por ejemplo, ¿cuáles son los mejores compositores para bebés? ¿Es Mozart? Es Mozart. ¿Sabes por qué Mozart es utilizado en esto? No es Mozart. Es la música clásica en general, es mejor para niños, para personas con curiosidad. Cualquier persona con curiosidad le interesa más una música que tiene muchos cambios. Voy a dar 3 cambios. Música clásica, música pop. La música clásica tiene intensidades muy distintas. Tenemos pianísimos. ¡Es fortísimos! La música pop es igual. Segundo, ¿cuántos instrumentos, cuántos timbres tiene una banda música pop? ¿Cuántos son? ¿Cuántos? 5, 4. ¿Cuántos instrumentos tiene la generalidad de la música clásica? Mucho más. ¿Cuántos acordes, cuántas armonías tiene la música pop? Música infantil, 3, 4, 2. ¿Cuánto tiene jazz clásico? Mucho más. Es un alimento mucho más nutritivo. Nos enriquece mucho más. Por eso la clásica es lo mejor. Pero cuando me preguntan una madre, maestro, ¿cuál es la mejor música para un bebé? Es la música que tú amas. Es la música que te interesa. Porque los bebés no quieren escuchar una música que les está dedicada. Quieren la emoción de la mamá. Quieren la emoción de quien la toca. Por eso los míos músicos, cuando tocan para bebés, no estoy haciendo investigación. No voy a hablar ahora de esto. A 25 años atrás, yo hacía investigación para coger los repertorios, los instrumentos. Estoy acabando. Estoy acabando. Son 2 minutos, ¿me das 2? ¿Has dado 3 aires? ¿Me das 2? 2 minutos. Los compositores son los que amamos. Pero entre Mozart y Stravinsky, ¿qué es mejor para un bebé? Brazo en el aire, quien cree que es Mozart. Espero. Brazo en el aire, quien cree que es Stravinsky. Claro, Stravinsky. ¿Por qué Stravinsky no es Mozart? Porque Stravinsky tiene mucho más contrastes, riqueza tímbrica, armónica, que... Claro, Mozart es grande. ¿Qué instrumentos son mejores? Voy a hablar solo de un ejemplo. ¿Cuáles son los instrumentos mejores para bebés? ¿Un piano o un acordeón? Acordeón. ¿Una guitarra o un violín? Violin. Now, I need to protect myself. Yes? Les voy a contar esto. ¿Has escuchado cuando Isabel hablaba que en la panza materna vivimos en un líquido? La velocidad del sonido de un líquido es de 1500 metros por segundo. Sound speed in a liquid, it's much bigger than in the air. Eso quiere decir que los sonidos graves se escuchan mejor. Entonces, entre un violoncelo o un violino, ¿qué es mejor? Un violoncelo. Lo violino además es muy malo, no voy a hablar ahora. Entre un violoncelo y un saxofón, ¿qué es mejor? Saxofón. ¿Por qué? You see a lot of saxophones for babies. Saxofón es mejor, ¿por qué? Porque el saxofón tiene un registro más próximo de la voz humana y tiene aire. Todos los instrumentos de viento son mejores. ¿Por qué? Por sobrevivencia. Porque el aire está conectado con respiración vital. Entre saxofón y piano, ¿qué es mejor? Saxofón también, porque el piano está fixo, parado. Además es un instrumento de percusión, no voy a hablar de esto. Lo piano es lo peor de todo. Voy a decir por qué es lo peor de todos. Y con esto me voy a terminar. Sí. Lo piano. Un pianista pierde 10, 12, 15 años de la vida mirando una pared. Una pared, aquí, así. Segundo, un pianista tiene un mundo negro, preto a su alrededor. Preto. Esto es increíble. Tercero, un pianista es un solitario individual. No toca para su público. No, un pianista toca para sí mismo así. Es solo un instrumento, toca para allá. Cuando hablamos de bebés, necesitamos de comunicación, de vínculo, de movilidad. Por eso, lo piano no es lo más indicado. Hay tantísimas cosas que me gustaría de compartir. Pero mi avión me espera. Ya, babia, babia, babu.
Babia, babia, babu.
Yam, pam, pam.
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 Yam, pararam, pam, pam.
Yam, pararam, pam, pam.
Després d'aquestes 3 fantàstiques presentacions, ens hem menjat quasi tot el temps que teníem abans de les 5 a l'hora del cafè, però bueno, crec que si algú té preguntes, alguna cosa a aportar, alguna pregunta a fer, doncs crec que per aquí tenim un micro, no? I abans que el Paulo ens marxi corrents a agafar el taxi per anar-se'n cap a l'aeroport, encara podrà contestar alguna de les preguntes si és que hi són, o alguna aportació, algú que té alguna a dir. Home, que els he fet córrer tots, he estat aquí com una policia perquè no es mengessin tot el temps, perquè poguéssiu fer alguna pregunta o aportar alguna cosa. Ara no se'm quedeu així tots muts. No?
Per què el violí és dolent?
Es una curiosidad. Como has dicho que el violín es horroroso, pues a ver por qué.
No. ¿Tengo micrófono ahora? No. Sí, ok, hablo así. Sí. Son muchas cosas para... en castellano, ¿verdad? Sí, en castellano. La verdad, cuando digo que lo violín es muy malo para bebés, quiero decir esto. Durante muchos años, yo he investigado tocando todos los instrumentos de nuestra cultura. He observado cuáles son los instrumentos que provocan, por ejemplo, más lloro, más miedo. Y lo instrumento que ha provocado, si yo quiero poner 100 bebés llorando, basta utilizar un instrumento que tiene frecuencias, ahora existen algunos motivos acústicos, ¿ok? Frecuencias muy agudas, armónicos muy intensos, que para un ser humano quieren decir peligro. Por sobrevivencia, a nosotros no nos gustan sonidos muy agudos. Lo mismo con un piccolo, por ejemplo. Lo mismo con clarinete en su registro más agudo. Quiere decir, especialmente violín, que tiene desde el punto de vista acústico un proceso que se llama el periodo transitorio del sonido, que aquel momento inicial antes del timbre, perdón los traductores pobrecitos que están aquí, este momento es un momento que está asociado a todos los sonidos que son peligrosos. Entonces por eso un bebé se intenta de proteger. Esto no es seguro. Existen otras razones, pero esta es la más objetiva, más inmediata. Me preguntas, ¿entonces no usas violín en los conciertos? ¡Claro que sí! ¡Claro que sí! Y también piano. Entonces, no tengo tiempo de hablar todo. Claro que utilizo violín y piano en los conciertos para bebés. Son todos importantes. Estoy diciendo que violín provoca más incómodo, más desconforto. Esto.
Can I also say something about it? Sorry. Because I play the violin for babies.
I know it!
I do it for 6 years now, and like not once have I made a baby cry because of the tones of my violin. Actually, I mean, of course you have to be aware what you do. You don't start out with those high-pitched, very loud things, but if you are comfortable with the music you play, they will be comfortable with the music you play. It's not that, I think Paulo is not saying like the violin is bad, but you have to know how to use it. Mostly it,
we will stay here all time. Of course, Astrid, a reason, because it depends on a lot of things. But particularly the way the repertoire, the word, the piece we play, how we well, a lot of things. And I love violin. I love violin. I love violin.
Can I go? Yeah. Hello. I have a question about, you mentioned that babies become more intelligent by more complex music. And I wonder kind of where is the limit of that? Like where does the complexity become too much or too dense? Is there like a nice line, or is it that we can, like the more complex we can do it, or is it that we as human beings are becoming better at learning to differentiate different sounds? Because instruments, we're now also in electronics working with completely other sounds also that are much more digestible today than they were like 100 years ago. And I wonder if there's any research in this, or you know anything about this.
Well, first of all, what I said, there is a lot of research, and particularly this research that I said, that there is a connection between listen and practice Mozart music and some cognitive aptitudes. There is a connection, and it's possible to find, for example, abstraction or other competencies. About the music of our days. Today, music, it's a sound maker, not anymore a contrapunto or a fugue composer. It's another thing. And you are correct that we are changing our society, our way of receive sounds and music it's much more complex. It doesn't mean that more complex music improve more complex and more rich abilities, intelligence for instance. It means that a human being of few months have much more interest in it. You know? Much more interest. What the baby do with that, it depends on each one of us. I don't know if it's clear to you. And then a lot of things. But if we play a Mahler symphony for babies, and I'm a lucky guy, sometimes artistic directors give to me a symphonic orchestra to play for babies. It's incredible. And it's true, when we offered a piece of music of Mahler or Bruckner with a lot of richness, sound, timbre, harmonic, rhythmic richness, we have much more attention by the babies. It means that, I don't know what it means, first of all, I don't know. I just know they become more interested on it. Just this. What they do with this interest, it depends. Sometimes a baby are interested in the violinist because of the shoes. Just simple. And it's not because the baby don't have the ability to be concentrated. Sometimes we speak, oh, the children, and particularly babies, don't have enough concentration to listen all the Wagner tetralogy. It's not true. A baby received, processed all the Wagnerian music in 30 seconds. What is important? And then need to learn more important things, another thing, and goes to find other ways. Sound is important, music is important, but you know that a baby, with a sound, an adult, and a baby, I am the baby, Eulalia the adult, with a sound, Eulalia process 5 synapses. A baby of 6 months process 300,000 more. 300.000 veces más sinapses en un bebé que en un adulto. Estamos aprendiendo, we are learning in a speed, a very, very high speed when we are babies, a very high. But what we do with what we learn, it depends on each one of us.
Bé, si us sembla, ho deixem aquí, entre altres coses perquè el Paulo també ha de marxar, si no perdrà l'avió, perquè anem fora ja de temps. Si us sembla, fem la pausa, fem 20 minuts i ens tornem a retrobar aquí d'aquí 20 minuts i continuem amb les xerrades. Moltes gràcies a tots i molt especialment